Okay, so I'll stick my neck out and say Ireland by 20 points at Twickenham.
Yeah, I would say Ireland by 12.
Well, good evening and welcome to the A&E Podcast, Rugby Podcast, that is, with Andrew and myself, Elmer. Andrew, how's it?
How's it, Elmer? How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, Andrew. A little bit tired and croaky as ever, but it's all good. The introduction there made me smile a little bit. Regarding the England game, what a turnout that was. But at least in the podcast last week, you offered England a window of hope, whereas I shut them out completely.
I know you violently disagreed with me, which I have been savouring over the last couple of days. I have to say, texting you was sweet over the weekend because, England turned up, didn't they? Interesting.
Gosh, didn't they just? But I think it was the old forward Jamie Heaslip was getting a load of cuck this week for suggesting that the only way England could win was if Ireland were down to 14 or 13 men. And I believe I was pushing that agenda towards you strongly last week. So what do we know? Right, let's go to Twickenham. Gosh, and for the first time in a long time, probably the World Cup semi-final, and before then, God knows when, years since, we're going to have to be complimentary about the home team here. England 23, Ireland 22. Well, we didn't see that coming. You kind of offered a hope that England could always win. I certainly had. Yeah. I just could not envisage it. And that's just based on what we'd been seeing.
Well, look, that was my head telling me, they've always got a chance. But because England do, we just know by the players that they have that they, if somehow clicked, they would put up a good performance at Twickenham, where they've been known to do it. But if I'd gone and laid a bet, I definitely wouldn't have picked England to win. There's no doubt. At the beginning of the show, you also pointed out, I said, Ireland by 12? That would have been my bet. And in England, it seems like in the space of 2 weeks, their backline play seemed to have come on 2 years. I mean, there was just some really good running rugby. I particularly like their Northampton fullback and wing, being Freeman and Furbank. I think Furbank really looks a good player, especially in attacking in play. I think Freddie Stewart's going to struggle to get back in the side. You know my opinion on Freddie Stewart. Yes, in a very wet day, and if it's going to be a kicking game, you play him. But in every other facet of player, I don't think he's capable, and he's certainly not at the level of an international player. And I think Furbank showed that a little bit today. On the weekend. He looked really good, and I think he must have been probably second choice for man of the match if I was selected.
Yeah, so it was clear that England were playing differently. However, we were talking about Scotland and their inability to play at that intense level for 80 minutes, which they did against England. Now, England clearly did that against Ireland. It was as if there was a lot of jeopardy. It was like a World Cup semi-final almost. They were in it till the death. Is that sustainable, or what do you think with England? Can they take that to the next game, or do you think this was just a one-off performance in terms of that intensity?
I think that's totally up to them. I think it's what they do with them and who they pick. Because for once we had a consistency in selection at 12 and 13, although Ollie Lawrence is playing 12 when he's actually a 13.
He played well.
I think Slade, the more I watch him, the more I'm impressed with him. He's like a Lekanyam. He's very talented, smooth, does everything well. He can kick, run, pass. He defends well. He gets everybody sorted in the line to defend. For me, the problem is fly half. And I think a lot of how they'll play moving forward and can they retain the way they play will be around who they pick as fly half. George Ford, he left 10 points out there with a boot. He doesn't tackle. He had a few good passes where he shot the ball flat and hard across the backline that look good, but he's just not an international 10. He's useless.
I kind of,
Um,
I'm not in his fan club, but I will disagree a bit with you there because I thought he's
of
linked.
course, you're in his fan club. You've told me before you really like him.
I thought his link play with Mitchell 9 and 10, and then the interplay with Ollie Lawrence, and that was fantastic. It was so fluid and nice. He's really linking well. It was smart rugby, and that he was keeping that tempo that Mitchell was creating, really going. However, yeah, the kicking at that level, kicking so costly, and he was killing England. I mean, Ireland could easily have won that. Well, they were until the last
Exactly,
minute.
they should have been off and away. But you can't be a chicken shit when you play international rugby and you need to put in a tackle. When Lowe scored that try,
he was slow to get across.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. I felt, Steve Borthwick is very loyal to a player like him. But I mean, let's I don't want to concentrate on Ford. From a team that had gone from falconing each other 3 times 2 weeks before to putting that performance of down the back line. I mean, they look unbelievable. Good. They look,
and I think, and in that first half, I mean, the first half, the energy and intensity was the first thing that grabbed me. And then the accuracy with the first try. After that, Ireland were very much getting on top, forcing a lot of England errors, turning the ball over. Josh van der Fleer was having a flipping awesome half. I don't know why he was launched off so quickly. And I know Ireland were they gambled with a 6-2, and everyone has to realise the 6-2 split is a gamble. And Nash got smashed early, didn't he? Gibson Parker now ended up playing on the wing later on in the game. But that first half, it seemed that England playing very differently. It was exciting the crowd, but Ireland were just picking them off. We'll take the penalty. We won't kick for the corner. We'll take the 3. So at half time, it very much felt to me that, England, the rush defence is working to an extent. Ireland can't get that phase play going. They just couldn't get into it. But they're finding another way to stay on top. And I thought, this is because they're a world-class team, and they are. So it was quite a surprise to me, really, and a nice surprise to see the second half, England just maintain that, even when Ireland was scoring tries, finding a different way of scoring tries, to find their own way. And it was refreshing to see people like not just Freeman, the other winger, what's his name, Faya Wabusu, who they're both big lads, big boys, and they come into the centre as well as the wing and go through forward traffic and still carry the ball and immediately give England that vital front foot platform of go forward ball.
They do.
It's very striking to see it.
Yeah. No, they're very powerful. Very powerful. I disagree with you a little bit about that first half. I thought England were looking good, and I thought Ireland were a bit off here. What they were doing was they were relying on some of the superstars to hold them in it. Guys like Van der Fleer that was getting turnovers. England then chose to not take the points once or twice, and then Ford also missed a lot. I think he missed 8 in the. Was it 8 in the first half that he missed? It was quite a big number. So I felt a little bit different. I thought I texted you, I said England are on here. I felt that England were going to win that game from the 10th minute. I thought this is where this game's going to go. Ireland, you remember when I said that it's very quick when it changes like that. And Ireland couldn't get their rhythm going. In the last 20 minutes when they put Gibson Park on the wing, they couldn't get that rhythm going at all. I mean, he had to go to wing, but that he's such a linchpin or so important for Ireland and the way they play that it's a real risk to put him to move him away. You've almost got to think if you do a 6-2 split with somebody else that can cover the wing, not him, because you need him to stay at 9.
I agree. I think he's that vital. It's not like last year when we saw with Cobus Reinhardt going on the wing. Although he looked a bit fish out of water, he could still perform a job. But it left the 9, our go-to 9 at 9, controlling the tempo. Because Conor Murray was, he's there's not the same speed, not at all as those.
But the Irish were off.
Do you think so, or do you think, think you've just got to give England credit?
I think it's both. I think it's both, and that's what leveled the I know they won by 1 point in the end, but it should have been more, in my view. England were better. A few injuries in that Ireland side that I think they missed Ringrose was on the bench, but he's generally a starter for you. You got Mac Hansen missing. Then they had very quick injuries. Nash got injured, changed it all around.
The test,
who is it? Also the fullback also got injured, didn't he? Frowley, whatever. So he went off. Keenan, and then very quickly.
Crowley went off with a HIA.
Yeah, I mean, it was just demolition job in the back. But, that doesn't happen often where you lose 3 starting players literally before the end of the first half. So there was all of that. And then the forwards just weren't getting their ascendancy. Genge looked again good. Chesham impressed me a lot. George, what's his surname?
Jamie George.
The lock, George.
You mean Martin? He got
stuck. George Martins again.
How good does he look?
I would not start that guy. And then you look at the Irish big players. Mahoney, Marnie just didn't look on at all. And
lost his discipline.
Yeah, and none of their big forwards crossed the game line the way they do. Do you know, I was just reading an article that Steve Borthwick had been interviewed, and he said some of the way that we played was off the back of a discussion that he had with Ben Earl. Ben Earl came to him and said, look, I think we could get stuck into the Irish doing this and this and this. And he said, Borthwick was saying, to his credit, Ben Earl went and actually did exactly what he said he thought would work, and he put it into action. He was very good, and Earl broke the line a few times. They made really good yards. And funnily enough, I didn't see him over-celebrate. Once or twice I saw him almost get the fist pump going, and then he held himself back. I can't remember if it was something that he should have been kind of shouting about, but I think he's checking himself a little bit. Very enthusiastic. Remember, I was saying, drop the guys. It's ridiculous. When you're celebrating in a losing team that's playing badly, what message does that send? But he really played well. He won man of the match too. I called it. I said, I was telling you, I think he'll win it. We agreed. And, because we're the oracles of rugby, we got it right.
No, good to see. Just good for the game as well. Because a couple of games ago, you think, well, once Ireland had beaten France, you think, well, the Grand Slam's a gimme, isn't it? There's no real drop off with Ireland. Somebody's really got to perform well to beat them, and who's actually capable of doing this? It's strange. Just going back to Genge, to give him credit, because I'm not a really big fan of Genge. I think he's overrated. However, he put in a shift, carried the ball well. The front row looked very good, surprisingly.
Mahler too looked good in the game. Was good. I think bringing on that Harlequin's access towards the end worked really well. Especially where they scored the try, where kind of Danny Kerr was there, and he had. What are we doing with names today? I can't believe it. Who's the 8th man? Don
Brandt.
Yeah, Don Brandt was kind of standing there, and you saw it was a move because he turned his body in a way that gave Kerr the ability to be able to send it on to Smith. And then they were off. So things I think that they practiced and tried worked. But I think a big difference was Furbank at the back, just the way he ran, long arcs to get into the line. Really well done. I'm happy for them.
It's playing with ambition,
and I'm glad for England. And it was really good to see them all high-fiving each other and having big smiles on their face, because over the last couple of years, we've seen them look like a dejected bunch. And I hope they turn it around. And I hope, I hope they carry it on. It's be interesting to see how they run this week.
Yeah, especially with the added pressure of being the best team in the world now. But no, it's Italy, isn't it? As you said,
It's
pipi! Arrange the man! Les cassous! Hip-hop league! Chapopo! Champisi! Oh, it was what was why, yo!